Hello guys, I hope you are having a great day. In this video, I will show you guys how to buy the right UPS for your computer system. First, I will show you what exactly is this UPS inverter device and give you a brief explanation of what this device looks like. Then I'm going to go online and do shopping for the right UPS inverter, and in that I will go through every single setting. I will check every single setting to make sure it is the right UPS inverter for me, and I will also explain those settings so you guys can buy the right device for your computer device. And in the final part, I will go out and buy my new UPS device and show you guys a little footage of installation and stuff like that. So without waiting, let's get started.
Okay, so this is the device you guys will need. This is called an inverter UPS. So you are going to need this. So this is the old device that I had. I just changed it. As you can see, this is what I bought, and this is the old one which I changed, and they are all pretty much the same. So let me just sit here. So you see these two connectors, you see, these are for batteries, you see, and this is for the you see this cable. This to connect it to the grids, and this is the regular socket, and this is over here. You can connect your whatever device it is, computer or etc. You can connect it here, and it will work just fine. And let me actually show these settings here, because so this button is basically domestic UPS, and this is comp. So if you see over here, it's called comp UPS. Let me just simplify here. If you are using fans and lights, etc., this is what you want. And if you are using a computer, you need to do this mode. What this mode basically does, if there is a slight, if power goes out or there is fluctuations, etc., the UPS will quickly switch to backup mode, and your device will be safe. So that's why you need this. Whereas in this mode, if you turn it like this, fans, etc., they are not so sensitive. They won't shut down directly, so they can wait, and they can even work at lower voltages. So with fans and lights, we don't have this problem. But computers, you need to set this to comp mode. Otherwise, your computer will start if there's fluctuation or power outages. So below is normal and turbo charging. So what this is basically, quickly this charges the battery at normal speed. This one does it faster. I recommend it to set it to normal mode unless there are like too many power outages, stormy situations, very harsh rain situations. Then I suggest setting this to turbo mode. And also the turbo charging mode, I want to say something else about it. It gives stress on battery, so it will decrease its life. So it's better to do the normal mode. Don't set it on turbo if possible. And now there are two types of inverter UPS. One is called modified sine wave inverters, and the other is called pure sine wave inverter. This is a pure sine wave inverter. It gives very high quality current, and what basically that does is doesn't put too much stress on your device, on your computer. The benefits of pure sine wave is that your computer will consume less power. They will get less heated, and it will increase their life. So pure sine wave are recommended for computers. Really, really recommended. Your computer is far more expensive than these UPS inverters. So please invest in a good inverter. So here's the problem with the modified sine wave inverters. I actually have one already here. So this here is a modified sine wave inverter. You see, and the only reason I have this right now, actually the inverter is packed in it, but I will only use this for fans and stuff. I will never use it for computers. And here is why.
So now I'm going to show you exactly what's the difference between pure sine wave and this is pure sine wave current, this is modified sine wave current. I will tell you why it is bad for you guys. Let's just forget about this for a moment, okay? So this is pure sine wave current. As you can see, it is smooth current. You can see, look at it. You can look at the waveform. So it looks smooth like this. But take a look at the modified sine wave. It's not smooth. It is kind of fluctuating, and this fluctuation is basically bad quality current. And what this basically does, it overheats your devices, it can damage them, it can decrease their lifespan, it can create unnecessary noise in electronics and other problems. So I do not recommend modified sine wave inverters. Look, your computer is very expensive device than these inverters, so invest in a good pure sine wave inverter. Look, this is smooth current, and so make sure it's a pure sine wave inverter. And so this, it will not only keep your electronics cool, it will give you longer battery timing, it will increase the life of your batteries, and it is very benefit. It's even better than the grid power you are getting. The grid power you are getting is also similar to this one, but this one is much better if it is directly coming from your inverter device. There is no noise which is generated when electricity passes through different wires over long distances. Now this is square sine wave. What is this basically? You guys will be wondering. So just let me simply tell you guys, I have not seen a device with square sine wave output, but if there is an inverter or whatever device that actually gives square sine wave and you attach it to not just computers but even fans and bulbs, it's gonna destroy them. Okay, never. I mean, you know what, if you are, just make sure to check specification. You guys will see it later on in the video. I'm gonna go through specifications of inverter. If it says square sine wave, throw that thing away. Don't even touch that thing. Just don't buy it. Those things can burn. This is very poor quality current. You don't want it. It will destroy them very quickly. I just write this down from you. Need pure sine wave. And if you want to use like fans and stuff, maybe modified, but even for fans you will see sometimes the capacitors will get damaged after some time of use. All this because it's a modified sine wave inverter. Pure sine wave is what you want to go for if you can afford, and if you wanted to use it for computers, make sure to use it pure sine wave. I don't recommend this. It will create a lot of problems. Okay, so one last trick I want to show. This is just a diagram what it actually looks like. If I actually have to show you what it looks like, it will be this. Let me zoom in. So over here you can see this is what is called oscilloscope, or I'm not sure what exactly it is called, but this is modified sine wave and this is pure sine wave. Just look at the shape of the current, smooth and perfect, and take a look at the modified sine wave. I mean, this thing is gonna damage it. It has fluctuations, it is missing parts, it's giving small shocks. It's just not right. Okay, we need pure sine wave. Alright, avoid this. Okay, so I just opened my Microsoft Edge browser, and what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to look for a new UPS device so I can replace my old UPS. And the one, you can like use any website you like. For example, whatever is the biggest buying platform. For example, Amazon is very popular in many countries, so you can use it. But the one I'm going to be using is daraz.com. Basically, it is a website that is very popular in my country, and I'm going to look for a UPS device, and I'm going to go through everything, all the settings of UPS, what to look for, what to not to look for. So carefully just watch this part so you guys can avoid mistakes too while buying. Okay, I'm gonna go UPS inverter pure sine wave. It must be pure sine wave, not regular. Okay, so this I know is not pure sine wave, so I'm going to avoid this. Okay, this one looks good. WRL, I don't know this company. I believe this is a European company. I believe that company is this. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna just give me a moment. I'm gonna do a look around, and once I like my UPS, I'm gonna come back to you guys. Okay, so this is what I'm going to buy. This is a 1000 watt pure sine wave UPS device, and but before buying, let's just go and check the specifications to make sure there is nothing wrong with it. Okay, let's get down. So this is the main cover, so you can read this, but don't follow too much this, because this is kind of like marketing terms, you know. To find out truly if this is right for you, you can go ahead read this, but to find out truly if this is right for you, you need to read the technical specifications. So let's just go there. Okay, so this is the real thing. This is the real deal. So what model do we have? First, let's look at this first part. So over here we see model is 1200, 1500, 1500 VA24. So which one is this one? Let's find out. This is 1500 VA and 24 volt. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what this 24 and 12 volt actually means. So V stands for volt. Okay, 12 volt is basically each battery that you buy is 12 volt, and if you combine them together they become 24 volt. So this means this device will actually require 2 batteries. Now you don't need to buy actually one large battery. You can buy 2 smaller batteries if you really don't need too much long backup time. So there is that. But if you want a single battery one, you can buy the 12 volt one. So I'm actually buying the 24 volt one. Alright. Next I'm gonna go into, okay, so capacity is basically the same thing, 1500 VA. But this can be different, you know, depending on the efficiency. The VA number might be different. So it's good to look at the actual wattage. This will give you the correct load. How much watts you actually want, I'm gonna come back to this. So let's go to the power factor. So what is power factor? It is basically efficiency of this device. Basically 0.7 power factor means, so let me actually put it like this. So power factor 1 means it is 100% efficient, and there is no device in this entire world which is 100% efficient. So when your UPS switches from grid, when electricity goes out and your UPS switches from grid to backup power, then this power factor will be important in that case. And let's just say you have 100 ampere battery, 70 ampere, you have 100 ampere battery, and your battery will be actually giving you 70 ampere of backup capacity. The reason, because the remaining 30% it is lost during the conversion during the electricity conversion. What do I mean by conversion? Battery stores DC electricity, DC current, and your UPS produces AC current. So when it converts DC to AC, some energy is lost, and that is 30% of energy is basically lost. Okay, let's go to the input part. So input voltage in inverter mode 80 to 90 VAC, input voltage in UPS mode 175 to 270 VAC. Okay, so before I can explain what this is, I need to explain a very important thing to you guys. This is basically talking about voltage. That voltage can be said as like the pressure of electricity that is coming through from grid. That's the pressure of electricity. Now this pressure of electricity or voltage is different in different countries. If you live in USA, for example, it will be a 120 volts. If you live in Japan, I think it's 100 volts over there. If you live in, let's just say, in UK, England, the voltage will be 220 volts or 240, I'm not quite sure. The country where I live, the voltage that I get over here is 220 volts. So in my entire country, 220 volts is used. So 220 volt is used, and all these devices are designed around that kind of voltage. So these numbers might be different. Okay, if you are like, for example, you live in USA and you are buying an inverter over there, it will be something like, for example, this number will be something like 100 to 140 volts, and this will be similarly different. so don't get confused by this. Okay, so let's take a look at the top, inverter mode and UPS mode. If you remember earlier, I talked to you guys about a button on the UPS, on my UPS, which was called computer mode, comp mode, and what the other was domestic, or what, DOM mode I believe it was called. So this is basically that. This is the inverter mode, this is equal to that DOM mode, and this is the UPS mode, this is equal to the comp mode, computer mode. If you are using a computer device, a desktop, then or any sensitive electronic device which is very sensitive to electricity, you need to use the UPS mode. So in case of any harsh fluctuations or power outage, it will quickly go to backup mode. It will quickly go to backup mode, and before the voltage drops too much. Okay, so let's talk about the output. What is output? Output is basically when your computer is in output refers here is when which power goes out. When power goes out, what kind of electricity will the UPS will be providing from battery. So this is the output. So what I see here is output voltage range, inverter mode. So this is basically okay, so same as AC mode, 220 VAC plus minus 5 battery mode. Okay, so basically it says AC, you will receive AC current, which is fine, we get AC from wall. I will actually stop and say something. Some UPS devices actually give DC current. If your UPS device sends DC current, your computer will not work on that kind of UPS. Okay, you need to make sure it provides AC. If it's called inverter, then definitely it's an AC. Inverter is basically a device that converts DC electricity to AC. So if it's called inverter, it should most likely be it should most likely deliver AC current, but it's still a good thing to check. Okay, make sure it provides AC as output. Okay, AC mode, 220 volt VAC. It's basically saying the voltage which it will provide, and plus minus 5% is basically says it might be slightly different, about 5%, so don't worry much about it. So yeah, and battery mode, yeah, this basically says the in backup. Let's look at the UPS, same as AC mode. Okay, so it's the same thing in both are providing 220 volts in both modes. So yeah, it's good to check both of this. I'm happy that they wrote both modes over here, so there is no confusion. Okay, so let's just go to output frequency. Again, I will say, if you live in USA, this, let's just say in USA, over here voltage is 120 volts. So instead of 220, both of these should be 120 volts. Okay, alright, let's go to output frequency. Okay, so I guess you guys shouldn't worry much about it, but 50 or 60, basically the best way I can explain this is that there are, you can say, ripples in electricity. So if the electricity ripples at 50 hertz, then basically, for example, the bulb which is installed in your home. Now we are humans, we cannot notice it, but it actually flickers 50 times a second. So this is what output frequency is. But if you set it to 60, it will ripple at 60 times a second. As far as I know, all electronics I have seen, they are so far it's 50 hertz. I have never seen an somewhere where, maybe there is, I'm not sure, but it's either 50 or 60 hertz. I haven't seen in my country 50 hertz is used, and then as far as all other countries I have seen, they also use 50 hertz, where it might be different, but it's not a problem. If this is even 60, my computer will still work. Okay, so but it's 50 hertz, I'll just tell you, and maybe there is a device that don't work on 60 hertz, but so far I haven't seen it. Okay, let's go to the next part, output waveform, sine wave. Okay, so it says sine wave, it doesn't say pure sine wave, so we need to double check that, make sure this is correct. I will need to visit the company website of this the company Semtech UPS. I'm going to need to visit their website to check out this output waveform, sine wave. And as you can see, it says battery mode. Okay, so sine wave in battery mode, when it's in backup, it will give sine wave. But what kind of sine wave? It should be pure sine wave, not modified sine wave or simple sine wave, other that type of bullshit. It should be pure sine wave. And this is a pure sine wave inverter, I already know, but I will stick, even if it's written over here in the name, I will still go to the company website and double check it in a different type of spec sheet, so I know that this is a pure sine wave. Okay, transfer time 10 ms. Okay, so this is basically very important. For your computer to stay on, this transfer time must not be above something like 20 ms. If it's above 20 ms, I'm not sure, man. I actually haven't studied it in detail. But if it's above 20-25, I'm gonna say 20 ms. If it's above 20 ms, I would not buy that UPS unless I can somehow test it on my computer that my computer won't shut down. So this transfer time is very important, 10 ms transfer time. And there are some other things. For example, if you are using a very old power supply on your computer, then the power supply basically is very weak. How old? Like just say you have like a 15-year-old computer power supply, then definitely it's, even with 5 ms power transfer time, it might still shut down, so you will need to change it. Luckily mine is a very good quality power supply. So anyhow, 10 ms is perfect. I won't go more than 20 ms. Also, if you are using very cheap power supply, now 10 ms is very good actually, transfer time. I don't think even a cheap power supply will shut down in 10 ms, but if you are using very cheap power supply, or if your power supply is very old, you know, it might shut down. So yeah, it depends on your power supply too. But 10 just don't buy transfer time UPS with transfer time higher than 20 ms. Actually, I should explain what is this transfer time. Did I explain it? You know what, I'm going to explain again. So transfer time is basically when as soon as your computer shut down, at what speed does the UPS switch from grid to battery mode. So it is that speed. 10 ms is basically like 1/100th of a second. So if you take if you take 1 second and divided it by 100 times, so that is basically 10 ms. Okay, so 10 ms is quite fast. Okay, let's go to the battery. What does it say? Battery voltage 12 volt DC. So again, as I explained earlier, you see this 24 DC 24 volt, it needs a battery. That it needs 2 batteries, not 1. Okay, 2 batteries are required. It will not work on 1 battery, though there are some UPS devices that will work on both 12 volt and 24 volt. This particular one doesn't. It will require 24 volt. If that was the case, they would have written it like 12 volt and 24 volt. So 24 volt is 2 batteries. You need 2 batteries. And these two, as you can see, there is a wall over here like this. So these one will work with 12 volt batteries. Okay, let's go to charging current. So this is basically how fast it can, how much power it can throw at the battery. So you can see this one throws 12 ampere, this is 15 amps, this is 15 amps. So the more amps mean faster charging. Okay, net weight, it's basically how much it weighs in kilogram kg, you can see. So this device I am buying is 12.5 kg. Unit dimension millimeter, how big it is. Alright, so this basically tells you about the size, length, width, and how fat it is. Okay, environment of performance, temperature. So this is operating temperature. So what it basically means, it will perform best in this temperature, from 0 centigrade to 40 C. You can C is not the same as F. Some countries use F for temperature. So 0 C is basically if temperature is lower than 0 C, the UPS might not perform properly. If temperature is higher than 40 C, then hotter than 40 C, then it will not perform already. This is humidity, basically how wet the air is. Humid air. I am pretty sure you guys know. I don't need to explain this. Noise levels, it says basically how much noise the device produces. Basically these devices have fans to cool them and they make a lot of noise, so lower the noise the better. Alright, so this is pretty much it. Model input capacity. If you guys still have some questions, you can ask them below in comments. Don't worry, I will try to answer every single question. So just you can ask anything. And further, let me see on the spec sheet, this button is for shifting UPS mode and water mode. Okay, alright, so basically it says if I press this button one time it will turn on. If I'm not sure which will turn first on, inverter or UPS, but it will be either inverter or, if when I turn this UPS on, the device will either be in inverter mode or UPS mode. Remember this, inverter mode and UPS mode. We need UPS mode. So let's just say when I turned it on, it is an inverter mode. If I press it again, it will be UPS mode. So it is basically this. Okay, so like it says what I just said. It will turn on an inverter mode, and I want the UPS mode, so I need to press this again. Okay, what it says, so this is basically here, it can be used for computers, energy savers, bulbs, whatever, TVs, electronics and fans, etc. So yeah, this is pretty much it. But before I go, I will just go to Simtech website and further see how the specs of these devices before buying. They should have a downloadable sheet too, which will have further details and honor manual, so I'm gonna read there too. Once I read there too, then I will probably go buy it. But actually there's another thing. Before I can even buy this device, I'm gonna go out to the market over here. And I'm gonna see if I can find a better device. Basically what I don't like about this is basically this thing. The power factor is just 0.7. I don't like it. Maybe 0.8, if possible 0.9. So I would like to get a UPS device that has higher power factor, so this way my backup time will be much longer. So let's see if I can find those. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, now the last question is, how much watts do I need? So if your computer uses a power supply of something like 650 watts or below, so if that kind of power supply you use, and then 1000 watts should be good, it will not cause problems. Why am I saying it will cause problems? Basically, if let's just say you have 900 watt 800, let's just say you bought an 850 power supply and you have 1000 watt UPS system. What will happen that in electricity goes out, power goes out. How it actually works is basically it will try to draw as much power as possible. So if your power supply is 850 watt, let's just say, it might actually draw for that very tiny short duration more than 1000 watts. And what will happen is that your UPS might go to might turn off. Actually, it won't even go to backup. As soon as it switches to backup, for that teeny fraction of a second, your power supply will be sucking far more power than 1000 watts, like 12 or 1300 watts. And UPS will not, and your UPS will quickly think, oh my god, it is overloaded. It will simply trip off. There are fuses in your power supply. It basically shuts off, gives a warning alarm. So your computer will eventually just shut down because your UPS is not providing power. It has shut itself down. Then you will need to turn on UPS again and turn on the computer again. So let's just say if you have 650 watt, a good power supply, 650 watts, and not the cheap ones will not matter actually. Their transformers are not that strong. But if you have a good power supply and 650 watts, then I recommend 1000 watts. But if you have something like 700 or above, then I recommend at least 1200 watts. If you have something like 1000 watt power supply, I recommend something like 16 or 1800 watts, not lower than that. So this is something to keep in mind. Okay, I hope I have explained all these things perfectly, because explaining things is actually quite difficult, but yeah, anyhow. Okay, so now I'm going to go to market and see if I can find some better UPSs. Alright. Alright, so this is what I got. Sony Inverter. Damn, it's heavy. Okay, this is the thing. This is what I bought. This is I think 1600 watt or something. This is 2000 VA, but in watts it's different. So this is what I got. I'm gonna open it in a moment and show you guys more. So we're gonna open this. So this is the warranty card and the manual. So this manual,
I have this small green one, Xeon 2000 VA, and we will need to read this manual before operating this device. These wires, you guys see, these were not connected to this. The seller was selling these wires, so I told him to, hey, can I buy these two also? And he actually installed it for free for me. So yeah, that was a help. I'm gonna need both of my hands to take this machine out. So yeah, I'm gonna be back. Alrighty. So here is how it looks. This is how it looks from the bottom. Like I said, these wires were not connected to it. I have to install them separately. I have to buy these separately and install it. But typically the machine that you guys buy, the inverter, it will have already these wires. This machine is actually very different from the one I showed on internet. There's a very advanced version of these UPS. So yeah, it is quite different. The reason it doesn't have this is basically the basic idea behind it is that you are supposed to hire a professional to install this device for you. This is not designed for regular consumers. The other ones you can just plug and play. I will just show that in the end. But this requires preparation, and yeah, it's a bit complicated to install. So I'm gonna set this up properly. It requires some work, but before I can even touch it, I need to read this manual, and then I'm gonna work on this. And the reason, and I'm actually not going to show you guys step by step how to set up this machine. That's because the settings and stuff for when it comes to these types of UPSs, the settings are very different depending on the type of machine. You might actually buy this exact same model 5 or 6 years later. It might actually be, the settings etc. will be different for it. So the settings vary. When you buy this, make sure it has owner's manual and you can read it. So you really need to read this and in order to know how this thing works the right way. It will tell you everything. It is supposed to be installed by a professional, not a regular people. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Alright, so I worked on it. As you can see, I will remove this panel, but I connected this. So this is the wall power that will come inside the UPS. I configured it. This is the output. You can see this white wire. It goes over here. It's in the output mode. And this is of course the battery. This was actually connected by the shop. I actually said it earlier. This is the battery. This is the input, the grid power, and this is the output. That will be powering everything up. And I think we are ready to go. Alright, so this is the old UPS. You can see it. I have shut it down. It still have power if I turn it on. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see the dim light there. And yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's still connected to the battery. So I need to remove it. And we are good. I have disconnected most of the wires, you can see. So now it's just going to connect to battery. I need to remove these battery terminals. And we are good. Alright, so these are the terminals. Both you can see. So there we go. They are a bit rusty. They look a bit rusty, but they are fine. This is just external rust due to acid corrosion. Battery, I use an acid battery, but they are fine. But what I did is I did clean the internals. You see the inside. So yeah, they are clean. The rest. This is the important part. Make sure the terminals are clean from this side. Don't worry about these too much. This is just external rust, but make sure these are clean. I cleaned the other terminal too. So yeah, let's install this thing. Alright, so we have everything set up. So this is the negative terminal. As you can see, the black one, it's connected to a negative. This is the positive one. It is connected to a positive terminal, and we need to make sure when you are connecting this to a battery, when you connect the positive to positive and negative to negative. So make sure not to mistake it. This is the red one, the positive one, the red wire. And I'm going to connect this to positive. And the black one, I will connect it to a negative. So do not insert it opposite way. It can damage your device. Okay, so I got into a problem. You see this thing here. The nut, which is basically this nut here, like this. This thing was slipped on this thing, on this clamp. So what I did is that it wasn't getting tight. So what I did, I'll use this thing. I'm going to show its full image in the video. but I use this, and I already had one in my vehicle. It's basically used for pipes, tightening pipes, but I just used it. I clamped it on this part of this part, so this thing is fitted on this area and had made it tight, so now it just doesn't move. You can see it's super tight and doesn't move. It's very important these terminals are tight. If they are not tight, you can have problems during charging and backup. So yeah, it's very important. Make sure both of these are super tight. So yeah, I did that. Now the best thing to do would be to just buy the new terminal, but I had this already lying around, so I was like, why not use this? I will buy this terminal at some later point. So yeah, if these are loose, don't turn on your device for charging. Go out in the shop, either use something like some whatever it is, not just this. There are lots of other things which you can use to tighten these clamps, but these terminals, sorry. But if you don't have anything tight, then just go out and buy new terminals. Just make sure they are not loose. Alright, moment of truth. Will it work? So there is the power on off button. Where is it? There it is. Okay, I think it's hiding. Oh yeah, there it is. It was hiding behind the door. This is the power button. Before I turn it on, let me actually tell you something. This battery, right now it's only connected to battery. This battery is fully charged, so this will be the only thing providing power. Right now, this is the grid power. This device is an AVR. This provides the power from grid. So I connected this to this thing, and this is connected to grid. So yeah, so this is you see the output wire. This is basically this thing, right? So I just connected it, but right now it's not providing any power from the grid. And right now we are only on battery power, and let's turn it on. Okay, let me zoom. Alright. Okay, it's working. So you can see in the diagram, it's right now showing battery is being used. Okay, let's turn on the grid power. Same. There we go. You can see it is booting. 5, 4, 3, 2, and okay, beep. And yep, it's showing. Okay, it's showing the grid sign. Alright, battery charging has started, so it's now showing me that while the computer or whatever the output is going to swing power, and we have battery. So yeah, that's pretty good.